Hi, my name is Maria 5. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about Starling House by Alex Harrow. But before that, we're going to get into some makes and some tea. So today's tea, I have apple custard. It's David's tea. It's called a fruit infusion. And this tea smells like divine, absolutely amazing. But it's not that great. It just doesn't, I don't know, it's just, I feel like it's lacking something. Now, I don't typically put milk or sugar or honey or anything into a tea like this. It is just a herbal tea, herbal, depending on where you are. As a Canadian, I say herbal, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, it smells so good, and you think it's going to be great, but this is the last of it, and I'm not going to miss it. And usually I have teas that I really love, and it's like, oh yeah, this is the best. This one isn't. So apple custard, David's tea, not so great. I feel like the best tea that David's tea ever made is called Movie Night, and it has pieces of popcorn and little bits of caramel, and it's just so good. It smells good, it tastes good, and regardless of whether you add honey to it, it's just one of my favorite teas. But last time I was in, they didn't even have it anymore. So, yeah, maybe I'll have to check with that specialty tea shop in the city. We'll see. Anyway, and the cup here, this cup here is, again, this is another treasure from Jack's place, that place I was telling you about, that wonderful volunteer-run place. Shirley's the head, where you can pick stuff up, drop stuff off. It's just this wonderful little service that just really saves our landfills. And yeah, there's no money. Everything's free. You have to drive out there. So it's yeah, what a great service to the surrounding area. But yes, apple custard tea, David's tea. Thumbs down. I know, and I don't usually do that. So hopefully that's okay. Or maybe you want my assessment. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, if you only want to hear about teas that I really prefer, let me know in the comments. Other than that, we will get on to the mix. So the first, I don't know, like I was going to show you this one. Now this, I made 3 of them. They're all slightly different. This is a fox tote, slightly different. Not that you can tell, but they're kind of facing the opposite ways. And these are like, they're tiny little totes. They're made for my mom. I made 3 of them. But she likes smaller totes, and I like, big ones that I can carry all my library books in, or groceries, or fabric, whatever I'm using. So I tend to prefer my totes to be bigger, and she likes them a little smaller. So there we go, fox totes. Yeah. The other make I was going to show you is this. I did this, I don't even know how many years ago, but this one here. And it's acrylic on board. This is just board. I've called it Haunted, but this could easily be Eleanor from the novel. And this is just black paint on whiteboard. There's no white paint at all in there. So it was kind of, there we go. There's the full, see if I can angle it right. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so this is the full painting. Move it back a little bit. And it's pretty old now. I did it a few years ago, but it was a painting that hung in our old house, and my son was always really, really creeped out by it. Now the painting is called Haunted, so I feel like as an artist I did a pretty good job. I don't know. Anyway, a lot of fun. So onto the book, Starling House. So on July 27th, I uploaded a video talking about Alex E. Harrow's The Once and Future Witches, which I wasn't particularly fond of. I didn't relate to the characters. And there was 3 women, sisters, and I just, yeah, I had a hard time with it. It took me 5 months to complete. But I saw something, felt something, and thought, I'm going to give her another chance. So this is Alex E. Harrow again. And this one is Starling House. This is her most recent one, published in 2023. And I have to say, wow, I'm so glad I did give her another chance. This book was great. Not that I particularly related to the characters at all, but it was, I don't know, better written, more concise. There wasn't this all over the place rambling. Everything made sense to me. I could buy into it. Let's say that. I could buy into it. So we have Opal and Jasper. So Opal and Jasper are brother and sister. They are living in a motel room. And they have this mother that is dead, estranged fathers, and we are led to believe that both fathers are different. We don't really know that. So her mother's name, last name, is Gravely, which ends up being very important in the novel. But she doesn't discover it until halfway through. And it's really an interesting turn of events, shall we say. So Starling House is this old haunted mansion up on the hill, and there's always a light on, and Opal has had strange dreams, and we find out later Jasper too has had strange dreams always relating to Starling House, and so she's drawn to it, and she doesn't know why. So she's got this, minimum wage job working at like a home hardware, something like that. Goes there late one evening after her job is finished, stops by, and finally sees the owner of the house for now. His name is Arthur. They have this discussion, and he tells her to run. She leaves. The next day, she's back at lunch on her lunch break, and she talks to him again, and he offers her a job. And she says, okay. So she takes the job. It's cleaning house. It's a 7-story mansion. We don't actually know how big it is until much later in the novel, but it's a 7-story mansion. So pretty massive. And so he says, show up. Here's the key. Come clean house. So she does. That's where the story starts. So she's cleaning house. She's really drawn to Arthur. The house seems to have a will of its own. It changes. It hides things. It has rooms suddenly, and then those rooms are in suddenly different places. At one point, she finds herself outside when she thought she was going into the kitchen, I think. So it almost, a little bit like Harry Potter and the moving, the moving staircases that just shift. That I feel like that's a little bit of how it all works. But she doesn't know it. It's not like where you're waiting for the staircase to click into place so you can ascend. You never really know what's going to be behind that next door. So in Kentucky, there's this haunted house on the hill. There's this book that Eleanor Starling has written, and it was very disturbing. It was banned for a while. Banned books. We'll get into that in another video. So the book was banned, and there's all these rumors. I mean, this is in the 1850s, 60s, long time ago. Eleanor Starling caused a lot of town discussion. Let's say that. So she's always been pulled to this. Opal's always had this idea of Eleanor, was drawn to the book, read it like 1 million times. There's a special dedication that she feels was written specifically to her, which of course it wasn't, but that's how she feels. So yeah, she's just pursuing this. So the motel that the kids are staying in is called Garden of Eden. And they stay there indefinitely without paying anything because their mother won a bet against the motel owner. So this is the situation. There is lots of coal and big coal mines. And when the mist rises, bad things happen. It's a bad luck town going nowhere. Dying. Coal industry is pretty much dead. And everyone in the village has got all these stories and rumors, and everybody that's lived there for 3 generations knows a few things with the town. So I'm just going to read you a little bit. So this is Alex Harrow's research into the town, and I'm just going to read this to you because I think it's actually really interesting. So Underland, which is the name of her book, Eleanor's book, was written as a stage play in 1932, New York City, and again in 1944, and again in 1959. It was produced as a film in 1983, which was never released. The documentary about making the film was nominated for an IDA award in year 2000. 2003, Nora Lee and Me was a hidden track on Josh Ritter's third album, Hello Starling. And I personally actually owned that CD. And yes, it's all true. I don't even know, and it's funny because I used to own probably 1,000 CDs back when everyone had CDs. I mean, I owned a lot of music, and I could pretty much tell you where everything came from, whether I bought it, whether someone, and I don't remember how that CD came to me, whether someone put it in my hand, I don't remember, which is a little odd for me. But anyway, so there's all this little history to this Starling House, which I'm quite fascinated with because it really she did her homework. So also there was a John Prine song, Paradise, released in 1971, his debut album. And the line in the song was, "Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Old Gravely's coal train has taken it all away." And I thought, wow, that's actually really interesting because, of course, Gravely is the big name. They are the coal mine owners. They're the ones who built the shafts, and there are deaths, of course, as in any mine. There's always deaths. But yes, they're all blamed on Gravely. Everything's hush-hush, and then the fog rises. So really interesting. It's a Southern Gothic. There's some romance. There's some... But yes, the haunting is Eleanor, and which I think is a really good name for a haunting. You know, there's Eleanor, Elizabeth is another good name. She plays an evil person in this story, Elizabeth. Not a haunting person, but a really, someone who's trying to do harm to the Graveleys. And yeah, it's just really interesting stuff. But yeah, she knows it all. She plays all her cards and ends up losing in the end. That's maybe a bit of a giveaway, but... yeah, it's a really good story. I was so pleasantly surprised to see that I wasn't wrong about Alex Harrow, and if you're intrigued, definitely give it a read and let me know what you think. All right, thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.